Hello and welcome back to day 3. You are a trooper because you went through day 1 and day 2 and now you're here for day 3, and that just shows me that you are committed and that you are really a learner, right? You're not allowing any excuses to keep you from being prepared for next year, and I commend you for that, okay? So congratulations. Let's keep this thing going, okay? So welcome back, day 3 again. My name is Jamie Espinal, and I'm a 6th grade math teacher at Elkhart Thompson Middle School. So to join me in this lesson, okay, what we've been doing is we've been using Nearpod, okay? So if you go to your uh, browser and put this right here, join.nearpod.com, and you're going to put in this code right here, right, in all capital letters, right? And when you do that, okay, it's going to ask for your name, and then there's going to be another box that says other, and there is where I want you to give me your student ID. I can't make any real promises, but I want to try and at least I can make comments on it, but maybe I can get it to your teacher or someone to show your progress. And this option is going to be available to you until that date right there, June 6th, which still leaves us with plenty of time to submit that work. Again, you got to remember I am recording this uh, ahead of the week 7 time frame. So I haven't looked at it as of right now, right this second. But as you submit, I will be collecting work and I will be commenting and doing what I can to keep everyone, including your teachers or whoever, informed. All right. Now, that is that. We're doing 611 still, right? The student will represent the mean of a data set graphically as the balance point. All right. So in yesterday's independent practice, all right, in honor of National Walking Month, the month of May is National Walking Month. All right. We had this question. All right. Mr. Espinal was having a contest to see which class could record the most miles of walking for the month of May. The data was as follows. So there's our data for block 1 and block 4. And what you were supposed to do using Nearpod was you were supposed to make a separate line plot for each of the classes showing their balance points. Then you were to determine each of the central measures of tendencies for both blocks. That's mean, median, and mode. And then you were to tell me who you thought deserved to win the prize. All right, so going over our question from yesterday and what you should have done in your Nearpod is your first line plot should have looked like this, okay? 4 sevens, 2 8s, 2 12s, and what's that, 5 13s. All right, so to find the balance point, to find the mean, you had to get the sum of all the numbers, which would have been 133. And because there's 13 points, when you divide that by 13, you add 10.2. So your balance point was 10.2. Notice where I placed it a little bit past the 10, right? Uh, halfway of halfway, right? Half of less than that even, okay? So that's where your balance point should have been placed, okay? Then you were to find the median. In the median, you should have listed all the numbers from least to greatest and then work your way to the middle. For every lowest number, you get rid of a high, and in those pairs, highest with lowest, you would have noticed that your median was 12. All right, and then finally, the mode is the one that occurs the most frequently. That number was 13, so block 1's mode of miles walking was 13, okay? Well, then we have block 4. In block 4, your line plot should have looked like this: 3 9s, 4 10s, and what's that, 6 11s, okay? And when you added all that up, you would have gotten 133, and when you divided that by 13, you would have gotten 10.2. So it had the same exact mean. Well, if you went further, your median, you would have had to order them from least to greatest and then work your way to the middle. For every lowest, get rid of a highest, and you would have seen that your median was 10. And then finally, the mode, the one that occurs the most, you would have selected 11 for that because there were 6 of those guys that walked 11 miles. All right, so your mode was 11. So then you were to make a decision and recommend who you thought should win uh, the contest. All right, now you probably wondered or figured he did this on purpose. We have the same mean, right? Both classes. So that wouldn't have been the deciding factor. Okay, so you had to use something else. And I'm guessing that most of you said block 1 because their median was higher and their mode was higher than block 4. And that would have been a very valid opinion, right? You could have definitely said that, right? Um, and but we can make arguments either way. And again, this is what it's all about. This is why statistics is so important. It's because everything that we do really is based on numbers. It's not just this opinion thing that you just pick out from the sky, but you can use numbers to validate your opinions, right? And so in this case, somebody could have said, well, I mean, block 1, look, they had 6 people, right, that ran between 7 or 8 miles, where, block 4, they didn't have anybody walk 7 or 8 miles, right? They were all at least 9 miles. So that could have been an argument towards supporting block 4. If maybe you were in block 4 and you're like, no, we deserve the prize because, right? And that would have been valid as well. Another argument that could have been made, I could have came up with another one and said, well, you know what? I like the way that the data is distributed here for block 4, right? The distribution of data is close. Now, what in the world does that mean? The distribution of data. Well, let's go over what we talked about previously. So the central measures of tendency, fair share is known as the mean. The mean is also known as the balance point. Okay. Now, this is what we're going to talk about today. Mean can also be defined as the point on a number line where the data distribution is balanced. Okay, now what in the world does that mean? So I'm going to guide you through this, okay, so that you'll be ready for your work to be submitted through Nearpod. So what you're going to do is you're going to get we're going to check it by looking at this typical work week, 5-day work week. This person worked 7 hours, a couple 8-hour shifts, and then a couple 11-hour shifts, right? So to check the balance distribution, right, we're going to first of all have to find the balance point, okay? So we find the sum is 45. We divide it by 5 because there's 5 points, and we get a mean of 9. In other words, a balance point of 9. All right. Now, how do we check the balance? Well, what we do is we count the distances for all of the points that are below the balance point, to the left of the balance point, and all of those that are to the right or above the balance point. So we have one point that's 1 unit away from the balance point. We have another point that's 1 unit away from the balance point. And then we've got one that's 2 units away from the balance point, right? So that takes care of all of the data points that are less than to the left of the balance point. And then to the right, we have a data point that's 2 units away, and then another that's 2 units away from the balance point. Now, is this data distributed balanced? Well, if we add up those distances, 1 plus 1 plus 2, right? Here, this one plus this one plus that 2, we get a sum of 4. And if we add up these guys, if we add up the 2 2's, right? Well, what do we get there, right? We get 4 as well. So because we have the same sum, we know that our data is distributed and it's balanced, right? According to our balance point. So we know our balance point is accurate, okay? Now, what I want you to do, our guided practice, right, is you're gonna find the balance point of the new work week's hours, and you're gonna check it by proving the data points are balanced. So here is where you would pause the video, okay? And in our guided practice, if you want to try and come up with the balance point and check the balance of them on your own, here's where you would pause it and then unpause it. And I'm going to go over it, and hopefully that'll get you set so you can do your own independent practice. All right, so assuming that you've paused the video, now you're checking your work, right? So if you did your mean correctly, right, you would have added up all the numbers, you would have gotten 55, and then you would have divided it by 5 because you had 5 points. Therefore, your mean should have been 11. So your balance point right there perfectly at 11. And then you checked your data by looking at all the numbers that are to the left that are less than the balance point and all the numbers to the right that are greater than the balance point, right? So here we have 1 point that's 3 units away, right, from our balance point, right? And if you're not sure where that came from, it's 1, 2, 3 units away, okay? And the same thing goes for the next point. It's also 3 units away, right? So that takes care of all the points that are less than the balance point. What about those that are greater than the balance point, right? Well, we have one that's 2 units away, another that's 2 units away, and then a third that's 2 units away. So when you added those all up, right, you would have seen, well, the 3 plus 3, excuse me, equals 6. And then you look on the right-hand side, and there you see, hey, 2 plus 2 plus 2 also equals 6. So my data distributed is definitely balanced, right, which can assure me that my balance point is also accurate, okay? And that is what you're going to work on in your independent practice. Now, independent practice today is in honor of bringing awareness to Clean Air Month, okay? Clean air, right? So we're going to get into it by talking about deforestation, right? Which is the action of clearing a wide area of trees. That's what deforestation means, okay? So let's just talk about it real quickly. What's the problem with deforestation, cutting down a bunch of trees? Well, let's read these points here. First of all, trees are responsible for absorption of many harmful gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, etc., and returning oxygen in exchange. That's what they do. So cutting down the cutting down of these trees leads to a lack of absorption of these harmful gases, like we mentioned earlier, carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, right? So the abundance of these gases causes global warming, right? So that's why it's so important, and that's why we bring it up for Clean Air Month awareness, right? The month of May, okay? So here's what you're going to do, right? The following line plot that, and again, this is in your Nearpod, right? You did the guided practice with me, you checked it, now you're doing this work on your own, okay? The following line plot that you're about to see represents the amount of tons of trees cleared at 5 different construction sites. And what I want you to do is find the balance point of the line plot by calculating the mean, and then you're going to check your work by showing the distributed data is balanced, right? So now you're going to do it on your own, all right? So here is your template, right? You're going to show me your work on how you found your mean, and you're going to show me your balance point, and then I want you to show me how you're going to check your work by confirming that it's balanced, right? It's distributed. The sum of those points that are lower than the balance point, sum distances is equal to the sum distance of the points to the right. Okay, so that's that. All right. Again, I want to thank you and commend you for continuing to do the work. You've been going through this and you've been working hard. And remember, hard work always pays off. So keep it up. And tomorrow we will go over this problem here for your independent practice. All right. So see you tomorrow. Excellent job. Talk to you later. Bye.